Are you looking to purchase an MPC 2000 XL in 2020? Here's 5 reasons why you should. How's it going, everyone? My name is Chris. Thank you guys for visiting the channel today. I know that during these times of quarantine, we find ourselves on eBay, OfferUp, Craigslist, Reverb.com, looking for a sampler to add to our collection, or if you've never been in the realm of hardware samplers, you're looking to grab your first sampler. And a lot of the times, the option is either the SP404SX, which I have to the left of me, or the MPC 2000 XL. So let me tell you guys the 5 reasons why I believe that the MPC 2000 XL is worth purchasing in 2020. The first reason is going to be modern storage solution. So when the MPCs were first created, they came out with floppy drives. 1.4 megabytes was all you can save onto these floppy drives. I personally started off with floppy drives, and for one beat, sometimes I would have 3 to 4 to 5, and it could get endless. That's when I kind of was searching on the internet, searching on forums, because I felt like this wasn't the way. Like, this way of storage and saving was just not the option. So what I discovered through my research is that you can add a compact flash card reader into the MPC 2000 XL, which, if I know that most of us, if we're not dealing so much with cameras, like a lot of us might not know what a compact flash card looks like, but I still have some from the old days, and this is kind of what it looks like. It's just a little card, a little memory card, and believe it or not, this particular drive works with the MPC 2000 XL as long as you are using OS 1.20. So the idea is that you swap out the floppy disk or zip disk, whatever you have in your MPC, and you would switch it to a card reader, right? So that was the solution back in like 2012. Nowadays, for instance, this MPC 2000 XL, I can insert one of these, which is a little bit more common. You see computers have this option a lot more than the compact flash option. It's an SD card. I mean, a lot of SP404 owners obviously know what this is, and a lot of just samplers nowadays are using SD cards. Like the MPC One uses an SD card, the MPC Live used an SD card, etc. And so this is a great option to upgrade to, just because it's the modern option. It's what samplers nowadays are using and utilizing. So you won't have to feel like, oh man, I'm only restricted to floppy. I know there's a lot of other samplers out there that make it very difficult to upgrade your storage media. A lot of them have floppies, but because the way that they were manufactured, they won't necessarily work with a compact flash card reader or an SD card reader, etc. You would have to do a little bit more research and tweaking and find the specific media source that will help utilize your sampler. And if you're wondering, Chris, that sounds expensive. That sounds like I'm gonna spend money on getting the MPC 2000 XL, and then I'm gonna spend money on getting the upgrade, right? Now, the cool thing about the MPC 2000 XL is that you have a lot of options. Going the external route is very expensive. People really try to, in my opinion, rip you off, selling you some media drive that was made in 1990 for like $200. That's not worth it. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can find a sampler, or that money could be used towards getting a sampler, a newer sampler, whatever the case is. The media drive that I have in the MPC 2000 XL at the moment cost me $70, which is a little bit pricey, but if you look at different websites like MPC Stuff, eBay, or even Reverb sometimes, for a compact flash card reader, you're gonna pay at least between $150 to $200. So believe it or not, the SD card option is the best option that you can get for the MPC 2000 XL. Now, if you really are on a tight budget, compact flash cards are not bad. They are great storage option. The only limitation is the fact that you could only run 1 to 2 gigabytes on the MPC 2000 XL. Any bigger cards will not be recognized. I am not sure the specifics behind that. I believe it's because of the technology of the machine. We have to remember that the MPC 2000 XL came out around the late 90s. So, you know, it's been a while since it's been around, so the technology is obviously not up to date. But like this Adonix card works perfectly as long as you're running OS 1.20 like I mentioned, and you can get it on Amazon for 25 bucks. And if you have an MPC 2000 XL with a floppy drive, you literally connect you don't disconnect the cable, right? You connect that, and then you just get a 40-pin IDE cable, which on eBay you can purchase for maybe like $8, $10 max, depending, you know, on the person. And you know, you might have to kind of either find a way to drill into the shell, or if you don't mind, putting some double-sided tape to kind of make it sit. I mean, there's different ways to go about it, but this is a great option for anyone that doesn't want to spend more than $50, let's say. This in total, I think with the cable, you'll probably spend like $30 to $35 maximum, right? If you are patient and are looking carefully. But you compare that, the $35, $70 to the $150, $170, $200 that other websites are charging you, I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. Yes, it's a little bit of do-it-yourself, but I mean, there's so much information out there, and it's actually a really, really, really easy task. I know it might seem kind of daunting and scary for anyone who doesn't like opening their samplers, right, or seeing what's inside of them. But it's definitely a good option. So yeah, modern storage solution on the MPC 2000 XL. Now, if I didn't convince you with using the modern storage on the MPC 2000 XL, here's reason number 2. Layering. Yes. I honestly don't know of any other sampler that makes layering and drum shaping such a pleasure. Like I've mentioned, the MPC is outdated and, you know, doesn't come with all the features that your digital audio workstation comes with, right? But that is not why you buy an MPC in the first place. You buy it for the feel, for the hardware capabilities and the limitations, because limitations means creativity. So back to the drum layering. So I have 3 kick drums on pad 1, 2, and 3. I have the ability to simultaneously attach 2 other sounds to pad 1 or to pad 2, or etc., etc. So in a way, it is kind of an infinite way of doing it, because if I'm able to layer 3 pads, if I'm able to layer only 2 sounds on 1 pad, I can go ahead and layer even more sounds on those 2 other pads and continue building, right? But for simplicity's sake, let's not get too complex with this concept. The reason why I like the drum layering on the MPC 2000 XL, because it gives you the ability to set your parameters to whatever you like. You could change the envelope, the attack, the sustain, the release, the resonance, the filter, the pitch, right? That control is very important, and it's not something that you see in a lot of other samplers. For example, the MPC 4000 has that ability, but it's very complicated to replicate what the MPC 2000 XL does so easily. It's just something about really being able to tweak individual sounds that you set to these pads and linking them all up to that one pad. So when you hit that one pad, you get this whole completely new shaped sound. And in this example, I'm just talking about drums, but you can pretty much get creative with anything in that regard. And me personally, I use it to really fatten up the drums, to add a little bit more bottom end to it by changing the filter on pad 2 and changing the attack, so I'm getting the tail of the kick drum instead of the initial click. That's the cool thing about these old samplers, is that they force you to get creative because you're not able to do everything on the MPC 2000 XL. There are limitations, and that's important because, you know, if you're an artist, let's say making a painting, and the only thing you have are 2 colors and 1 brush, right? You're gonna get creative. You're gonna be like, well, how can I utilize these tools to the best of my ability? It's no different on the MPC 2000 XL. You're gonna find different ways and creative ways to create things that you probably never would have expected to create in the first place. So here's reason number 3 why you should buy an MPC 2000 XL in 2020. And that is the legendary MPC Swing. I know most of you have heard this if you've been around samplers or people talking about samplers or on the forums or whatever the case. Everyone praises the MPC Swing. And I think realistically the reason is because it has so much characteristic. It has so much character. It adds so much liveliness to your music. And honestly, there isn't really anything else that replicates the early swing of the MPCs. You know, people look at the MPC 60, the 3000, the 2000, 2000 XL, and they always say that swing. The swing is what puts everything together. And I agree, it's very unique in its way, and it's something that digital audio workstations can try to replicate, but for whatever reason they get close, but they're not identical, at least in my opinion. I know that Logic has this really cool feature where it can emulate an MPC Swing, and to be honest, it's very close. I really like the Logic Swing, but I still just can't get over the fact that it just doesn't sound identical. At least to me personally. I don't know what do you guys think about it. If you guys are familiar with MPC Swing, let me know in the comment section below. Do you feel like the digital audio workstations can really replicate that, or can you replicate that? I mean, it's a possibility that you can probably get the same feel, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know what exactly it is, but it's just that vintage technology and the character of these older MPCs that just give you a whole vibe, a whole sense of liveliness, of loose playing, and I know that nowadays, especially nowadays, people try to refrain from using the quantize button, and they're like, oh, don't quantize this, don't quantize your drums because you don't want them to sound stiff. But that was never the case with the MPC Swing. I mean, people would quantize their drums, but never ever have I heard it sounding stiff. Obviously, you have to up the percentage, right, when you are adding swing. But it's just really a cool feature, a feature that honestly I feel like is not replicated with anything that's been out in the last couple years. There's nothing that I personally feel sounds like it, other than having the real deal. So if you haven't gotten a taste of that MPC Swing, get to it, my friend. You will not regret it. Here is reason number 4. This reason might be controversial, maybe, but at the end of the day, this is just my opinion. Reason number 4 is the simplicity of the MPC 2000 XL is just worth it alone. What do I mean by that? So, at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that if you're a beginner or a person that's looking to get into hardware samplers, right? You've been using a keyboard, a digital audio workstation. I mean, I get the question all the time where people want to get away from the computer and work on hardware because there's just nothing like it. I don't mind making beats on Ableton, just strictly on Ableton. I enjoy it because of how much options I have. But there's just something relaxing about sitting down with a sampler and just getting to work. And that goes back to my reason, it's simplicity. it's so simple and easy to make a beat on the MPC 2000 XL that it's just, it really takes away from you thinking too much, right? Because the last thing that you want to do when you're creating is overthink things. You just want to create. You just want to get to it. You just want to make what makes you feel good at the time. Whether you're angry, sad, happy, right? You want to unleash those emotions when you're creating music. And I think the MPC is a perfect example of not getting in your way. It has a very simplistic layout. You're able to program everything very easily, and it just has all the essential features that you need. No extra bells and whistles, no extra little, details or whatever the case. Just put sounds in the machine, program the sounds, push sounds out of the machine. As simple as that. And I feel like this is a good reason to buy an MPC for a beginner, because when you open up a digital audio workstation, when I first opened up a digital audio workstation, I was like floored, because I was like, where do I even begin? Like, what is this or what is that? Like, what does that do? You're very confused. I remember when I first looked at Ableton, I didn't know what the hell I was looking at. I honestly did not know what I was looking at. I mean, this was early when I was barely getting started making music, but it was just, I didn't have that feeling with the MPC 2000 XL. Maybe on the first day I was like, okay, like what do these numbers mean? What does this mean? Sequence, what does that mean? But once I spent like even an hour or 2 hours with it, I was able to grasp the concept of how to get it going, which I found kind of amazing, because when I first started making music, I started on the MPC 2000 XL. I had no musical background. I still don't. I still don't have a musical background. I just like making beats. But I just had no knowledge of it. I didn't know how it worked, or how I can go about it making a beat, or how to even sequence drums. I didn't know what BPM meant, or sequencing, or sampling filters. I didn't know any of that. Nothing. I barely even knew how to connect the damn turntable to the MPC, I barely knew how to do that. But it was a learning process, and I felt like the MPC 2000 XL, and I'm sure the earlier MPCs, 60 Mark II 2000, they just made it easy. It was an easy layout. It was simple. And if I was able to get started and I made my first beat on the first day that I picked up the machine, then the machine is overly simple. Because I honestly, and I'm being 100% honest, I didn't know anything at the time when I first got my machine. That was a long time ago, right? I've built up a little bit more knowledge and read a lot more about it, but I honestly didn't have a clue. And it's not that the internet wasn't around, it's just I really just wanted to get my hands dirty and really understand the machine myself. So, I mean, simplicity is important. I mean, how often do you find yourself looking for specific sounds within your DAW, looking for drum sounds, looking for synth sounds, looking for bass sounds, and EQing, compressing, etc., etc., etc. Now, don't get me wrong, I still do those things, right? But I don't want to be doing those things when I'm creating, because that, I feel like, is kind of taking away the creative spark. I want to create something and make it sound good as is, and when I bounce it to my digital audio workstation, I want to improve it, right? I don't want to fix things, if that makes sense. So if a beat sounds cool with no compression, no EQ, just raw, kind of levels, then that's what I want. I want it to sound good within the sampler. That way, when I bounce it to my digital audio workstation, I can improve the beat in little ways, whether it's adding an extra instrument here or EQing certain frequencies that are not really, mixing well with each other. And that's really the goal. When I create music personally, I just want to focus on the creating process. Once I'm in the mixing stage, I change my hat, right? I'm a mixing engineer, right? So I'm thinking more like a mixing engineer, and I'm thinking more like, how can I get this mix to sound better? How can I improve what I have here and take it to the next level? So yes, as a creative person, you kind of have to switch your hats, and I think the MPC 2000 XL for the creating process is perfect for anyone who wants a sampler, who wants to experience just the simple legendary layout of the MPCs. So here's reason number 5 to why you should purchase an MPC 2000 XL in 2020. And the reason is that it holds its value. So what do you mean by that, Chris? Basically, if you buy an MPC 2000 XL right now, in current time, I honestly don't believe that the machine will ever be worth $300 again, right? I think that eventually it's going to be in the $1,000 range. And I mean, if you look online, if you look at Reverb or eBay, you know, people are selling these MPCs for about, you know, $800 to $1,000 sometimes, depending if they've done some custom modifications to it. You can get a beat up one maybe for $500, which is not a very good deal in my opinion, because it's beat up, right? You might be lucky to find one for, you know, $400 in good condition. So I personally feel like the value is going up. I will tell you that when I first purchased my MPC 2000 XL, the first one that I learned on, it was in okay condition. It was actually in good shape. There was, you know, minor scratches here and there, like expected, right, from an old machine, but it wasn't like super banged up. Not as banged up as this one was when I first got it. And I think I paid like about $350 at the time. Now keep in mind that was like 8 years ago, right? In like 2012-ish, a little bit, maybe 2011. So that was a long time ago. And around the time, that was about the price that people were selling the XL, right? They were selling it around that 300 to 400 range, 500 if it was like in pristine condition. And I'm sure it's had its ups and downs throughout that time. But it looks like as far as today, you know, the market has really pushed the MPC up. It's not worth that little money anymore. And when I say little, don't get me wrong, like $300 is, you know, is not some easy money to just come by. But I mean, it's way better than $700 or $800 that people are asking for nowadays for the MPC. Which, if you find a good deal on an MPC that has all the upgrades that you want, or just has, you know, all the whatever it is that you're looking for, and like I said, a good deal to me would be like $300, right? But if you find one for $400 and it has the 8 outs and expanded memory or upgraded floppy drive to card reader or SD card reader, whatever the case, I mean, I would definitely go for it. I know most people are probably a little bit more cautious and not willing to spend $700 to $800 on an MPC 2000 XL. And I don't blame you. That's a lot of money for a sampler, especially when you can get one new, right? But my reason for what I say that it holds its value is that if you do pay $700 for an MPC 2000 XL, I don't see you selling it any cheaper than that unless you really need the money, right? And I mean this in a scenario where you buy it and need to sell it in the future. I think it's going to retain its value for a very long time. If anything, it might increase a little bit more throughout time, because we have to remember that these machines are vintage. And this is probably like another reason to buy it. I'll say it's an honorable mention, is that these things are built like tanks. Think about it. They came out in the 90s. A lot of people are still using it. As a matter of fact, I saw some videos of Logic recently making beats on the MPC 2000 XL. Like, they're so reliable. They are so well built. I've heard stories of people dropping the MPC 2000 XL and nothing happening to them. They're built really well. So, you know, the issues that you might come across is that the screen might burn out, which is not too much of a difficult fix. They sell replacement screens online. Other than that, I haven't really heard a lot of issues with this particular machine. So if you're looking for something that's gonna last you a long time, that's gonna be reliable, the MPC 2000 XL is a perfect choice. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, this conversation. We can continue this conversation in the comment section below. Let's talk about it. What do you guys think of my 5 reasons? Are they good reasons? Are they bad reasons? Let me know. Let me know your opinion. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, as it helps the channel a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you have any future videos that you would like to see in the future, leave them in the comment section below. I'd be happy to make any videos regarding anything music related. If you're not following me on my Instagram, please do. It's at Chris Galactic. I usually answer a lot of questions on there. I get a lot of questions from you guys reaching out regarding any of the samplers that I've featured on my channel, and I'm happy to talk to you guys. I'm happy to answer your questions to the best of my ability, so don't feel discouraged to ask me anything. I will let you know whether I do kind of know it or I don't, you know. If I don't, hopefully one of you guys can chime in who's a little bit more knowledgeable and provide that information. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys on the next video. Stay safe. Peace out. And let's keep on making music.